Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
RoadToRuta.com. I do have a correction. I spoke wrong in yesterday's video. I was looking at Jamie Dimon's full portfolio of over $1 billion of stock. Now, I do think he could have sold it all. He has to announce that he's selling it, and then once he does that, he can lock in the dates that he's selling it, and then he can go and short it and sell off the income stream to other investors, stuff like that. So I think he dumped all of it, but they're not going to tell you that. And they say, oh, it's legal. We announced he was going to be selling. Well, now he's going to be selling for the rest of his life or the rest of his tenure there. And if he had half a brain, he'd sell before the collapse. So I do think he actually sold all of it, over $1 billion. Although, according to the JP Morgan Chase, it was only $141 million. Quite a payday for a guy who's a serial criminal. Who says crime doesn't pay? But I think he did some derivative games. That's what they do for a living, and was able to lock in the sale date of all his stock, lock in a short position, so that he doesn't have to worry if it goes short. He can lock in today's value, and then he can sell off the income stream, fixed stream, to probably a JP Morgan type buyer of income streams like that. I mean, if you have a fixed sale price at a certain date in the future, you could discount that and sell it off today. And then it's bought and sold in all the games they play with the derivatives. So I think Jamie Dimon's out, and I think he's going to run away soon. Hopefully we can get him in jail before he runs away. We'll find out. Somebody's holding silver right at the moving averages. I mean, it's literally, look at this. It's just right on the moving averages. Somewhere around 23.30 on the 200-day, 23.22 on the 100-day, right in that neighborhood. And silver's currently at 23.27. So you can see what's happening here. Just playing around that. And then once it crosses over that definitively, that's what you get, these kind of runs. Until the bankers try to stop it again. Who knows if they're going to try to stop it this time. There's a lot happening with those war crap, and it's just so much going on. But again, JP Morgan, the lead guy, JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, the lead guy on silver manipulation, is getting out of the game. So if I was him, I'd buy as much physical silver as I could and run away and confess at some point. By the way, Jamie Dimon is the same guy who said, warns of the most dangerous time in decades. And everybody's, Biden administration say everything's great, and the head of the most criminal bank saying it's the most dangerous time in decades. So take it with a grain of salt. I did want to show you guys. A lot of people asked me about the Jean-Claude interview. Go check it out. But they asked me about this fact.
This trick will save you thousands of dollars on high energy bills. Alarmed by gas shortages and high energy costs?
Everyone, I'm Jean-Claude, a Beyond Mystic, and welcome.
So right here, it has my name as Bix Weir. And they're like, what is that Glix thing? For those who didn't know, the Fed put me into one of their comics. It's called The Story of the Fed. That's about the Federal Reserve System. And I was reading this comic the other day, and here's me, the little guy in green right there, runs around singing about the Fed. Here, let me show you what it looks like. There he is. He's a rock star singing about the Federal Reserve. I have pictures almost identical to that. When I was in, we were in Texas with Bitcoin Ben. I was singing out in front of a bank. How did the Fed know? This was long before I took my music stuff on the road. But clearly, Bix, Glix, they wrote me into their comic book. That's pretty cool. But I want you guys to read the beginning, the first page of this, and tell me if this sounds familiar. Now remember, this is coming from the Fed, New York. And, oh, by the way, the name of this place that they're talking about is Novus. Novus. Lyco and Lisa would love that because it's a calm. November US. Is that when it's going to happen? Anyway, here's the Fed talking about exactly what I've been screaming about for a very long time. Way, way out at the edge of the universe, the planet Novus is experiencing its first economic crisis. After an unforeseen ice cream setback, a local business was unable to repay its loan, which put stress on the bank that made the loan, which led to a panic. Everyone on Novus, that's the entire planet, ran to take their money out of the bank at the same time. If we take all the cash from our banks, the whole system will collapse. That's because it's a fractional reserve system, meaning the banks don't have your money. They don't have it. They lose it, or they invest in other things, long-term assets that they can't get short-term. Right here, if we take out all the cash from our banks, the whole system would collapse. People will lose everything they have worked for so hard for. Is this foreshadowing what's coming? Of course it is. Instead, the citizens of Novus decided to come together and create a central bank to loan money to other banks to act as the lender of last resort. This new central bank of Novus would help struggling banks continue to lend and pay depositors back, avoiding a catastrophe. So there you go. Even the Fed, came right out of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the story of the Fed, and this is the one that Glix is in. What have I been talking about? If you don't have your assets in your own possession, you will lose them. You will lose them. Just be aware of that. So, yeah. And this article, hold on to your hats because it's going to be a very big Fed week. So the Fed is meeting, I think, Tuesday, Wednesday? Or Wednesday, I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday. To see if they change interest rates. First of all, they lie about CPI, the Consumer Price Index, so that they don't have to raise rates, but the market is telling everybody something different. The market being, what's bought and sold out there, although they can rig that too. They rig pretty much everything these days. And remember what Paul Volcker had to do in the 1980s to get inflation under wraps is raise interest rates higher, much higher than the rate of inflation. So he raised interest rates to 20%. And then they rigged the market lower and all that. Powell can only raise it. He got in trouble when he raised it to 5%. It's like 5.25 or 5.5. So what's he going to do? Everybody, like 99% of Wall Street, is saying they're going to pause now and maybe even lower them in December. So we will see. But what will that do to the CPI? Well, I can tell you what the CPI, because the CPI is only based on a 1-year change. People forget that. They say, he got interest rates down. Interest rates at, 3.7%. He got the interest rate down. Well, that's 3.7 above what last year was. So last year, September of 2022, was 8.2. So it's really 11.5% in the last full year that inflation has been rising. 11%. Did you get an 11% raise from your boss? You better scream and tell him I need 11%. Or go back 2 years. To go back 2 years is another, let's find out, another 1.4%. So it's 14% in 2 years. But that's the key, because from September to October, it went from 8 last year. It went from 8.2 to 7.7, which is a big drop, 0.5. That's why the interest rates are rising this year. Everything's compared to the year before. So inflation is raging right now. The new inflation numbers will come out November 10th or 12th or something like that. And it's going to be up again. So we're going to have let's see, it went to 3.0, 3.2, 3.7. So it's at 3.7 right now. And it stayed flat. I think it's going to rise again. Why do I think that? Because all the signs are saying it. And, by the way, everybody knows inflation's raging. McFlation, revenue soars after McDonald's hikes prices. On Monday, McDonald's reported that revenue was up 14% on the quarter in what the burger company attributed to strategic menu price increases. The company beat expectations of $6.58 billion for the third quarter, ranking in $6.69 billion in revenue. While the company didn't reveal which of its items had increased and how they applied to the company, 13,513 domestic restaurants and 38,000 abroad. One branch in Darien, Connecticut is charging as much as $18 for a Big Mac combo meal. That same combo in Times Square costs $13.69, so it's all over the place. And we suspect strategic doesn't just mean which items are they're hiking prices on, but where they're hiking prices. Very interesting. By the way, if you eat McDonald's, you're signing your own death warrant, in my opinion. That's not food in that food. Just be very careful. I was hearing there's like 80 different ingredients that go into their French fries. Kidding me? French fries, potatoes, and oil. No, there's 80 different ingredients, from the seasoning to the oil to the way they prepare their potatoes. Don't eat at McDonald's, please. Anyway, House Senate set for showdown over Ukraine and Israel funding. It's all such bullshit. I think funding runs out for Congress on the 17th of November. A couple more weeks. Remember, we have a deadline. An in-game deadline is next year about this time, because I don't think there'll be any president elected. I don't think there will be a vote. I think everything will be completely falling apart by then, maybe even this year. But clearly, the Democrats aren't thinking there's going to be any presidential debates. They're looking for something big beforehand. I think the Republicans are too. I think everybody knows there's something big coming. What is that big thing? To cover Cliff's data, a collapsing of the derivative market would be a big thing, don't you think? You go to your bank and you can't get any money out of your checking account? Ever? Gone. FDIC doesn't have any money, by the way. They have $120 billion. That'll go in a blink of an eye. It almost went, literally, the whole system almost failed at the beginning of this year because of the nature of banking, the fractional reserve banking system, and the reality that there's $2.5 quadrillion worth of derivatives ready to go bad. That's counterparty risk all over the place, everywhere. For every winner, there's a loser. All JP Morgan, we hedge this and we hedge that. Well, who's going to pay out those hedges? Somebody's got to pay it. If you're going to make it and cover your losses, who's taking the losses? So, yeah. Yep, they're going to try to pass, and they probably will. If it's war, both sides are the war party. What can you do? I don't know. Truthfully, at some point, it'll get so dramatic, and probably it'll take the stock market going down because people look at their money, and that's what they're worried about. What if the banks go down? People look at their money. If you want to make a drastic change, you think anybody's going to pay their taxes if the banking system fails or the stock market fails? No. You think we're going to go to war? No. We're going to pull our troops home, hopefully. But that's what's right around the corner. So hang in there, my friends. Lots going on in silver. I've written a couple emails and had some calls into the U.S. Mint to change that page. They're still reporting from 2022, the 2023 numbers on the Silver Eagle production. Don't know why, other than Ventures Gibson wants to hide her record, because she's sending letters out saying we've greatly increased Silver Eagle production, which means over 48 million Silver Eagles per year should be able to at least do that. If she's greatly increased production, that was their max production. David Ryder was doing it. Why can't Ventures Gibson? Because she told the head of Silver Eagle Sales not to sell Silver Eagles. That's a fact. I heard it from the horse's mouth. You guys want to hear that discussion? Go to roadtoruta.com. There's a couple great discussions there. roadtoruta.com, the public road page. Put your name and email address in for to get emails. But there's a 3-part discussion with the head of Silver Eagle Sales, a guy named Jack Sermon. Great guy. Admitted they're breaking the law left and right, and he had no say. He couldn't do anything about it. It's the leadership. It's Ventures Gibson and Janet Yellen who are making decisions to break the law. So go check that out and go to roadtoruda.com. And if you want to get a silver Ruda coin, as of today, we still have some left, so we're going to give them out with every subscription or renewal to the private road. Very cool coin, backed by popular demand, the Ruda Lives coin. Check it out. This is Bix. I'll talk to you later.